To kind of frame some of the things that I'd like to share with you for the next few minutes, I think you need to stop and reflect on what Richard and how he introduced me. I represent the law enforcement side of public safety, and I would venture to say there's probably several of retired or current members of law enforcement in this room, as well as fire. And those are your friends in special event planning. Those are the individuals that will bring the operational street-level experience to the table. And for those of you that may not have experience, in the 42 years that I've been in law enforcement, what I've figured out is how much I don't know, and how important it is for me to surround myself with people that do know. And experience speaks volumes, and certainly the experience of some of the presenters we've had here tonight go a long way to do that. I like to kind of start a presentation with a hypothetical. And I want to put ourselves in a position where, let's say that we are an event planner for an event that's going to take place in Los Angeles. It's going to take place, for example, at the Disney Hall, which is a very prominent facility. You, us, we, individually and collectively, are going to be the special event planner for this particular event. And let's say, hypothetically, it's going to be a fundraiser that's going to involve probably 500 or so attendees that are going to be coming to the particular event. The purpose of it is a fundraiser. It's going to be a very affluent type of the organizers at the Disney Hall and the people that are in charge of the facilities are very excited about being able to support this event. And it's just a one-night affair. And it's going to be something that is going to be quite a nice gala. It's going to be to be able to raise money for whatever event. And all of a sudden, in the course of the special event planning, you've been informed that in addition to many Hollywood celebrities that are going to show up, there will be some foreign dignitaries that will be there as well. And hypothetically, and I'm just picking one, let's say a foreign head of state, the Israeli prime minister, for example. Now, those types of things in the business that certainly I represent, or the discipline that I represent, present some very significant challenges. If we reflect on the events of 9/11, and I'd have to do the math, but we're well over about 2,000 plus and some change days since September the 11th. And the way that we look at this, the way that law enforcement looks at any special event planning, there are all kinds of safety nuances at the extreme bottom end. But the way that we look at it is, it's not going to happen, and this is a term that we use on our watch. We're not like this happen here. And so when you look at the security preparation for this hypothetical event that I just outlined here, these are some of the things up here that we take a look at right off the bat. What's the threat? We do an extensive amount of research. The significance of this particular event that I just outlined. And Catherine talked about this earlier. The partners that would be involved in that. When you have a visiting head of state, you're going to have the United States Secret Service. Depending upon what other foreign dignitaries you have, you could even have the State Department. You're going to have other close proximity security personnel that are going to be armed, that may have a variety of other people that are in their entourage. You may find yourself with the Hollywood celebrities that are going to have their own private security. And so that there's going to be things that you're going to have to take into account. Obviously, the Secret Service is very concerned about their protectee, but you're also concerned about making sure that your event, and Bob just said it at his end here, if it goes bad, it's going to come back on you and you'll never work again in Hollywood. Now, in this particular type of scenario, it becomes very important that we don't police on the cheap. And that's the term that we use. And we're all concerned about the bottom line because of the cost and so forth. But when it comes to extra things that we're going to have to put into place for extra security to be able to make sure that screening checkpoints are in a place that they should be, and that we're not doubling up on them, that we should be able to have them spread out so that there's adequate amounts of security based upon what we have in terms of the threat. Now, the threat is not just a one-stop shop. It's going to involve a whole bunch of individuals, including yourself, including the Disney company, including the Secret Service, including the security for all the people that are going to be involved. So when we start dealing with the planning piece of this, the planning piece of this needs to include all of those individuals collectively coming together so that you can base your plan on what you know or suspect as potentially to equal the threat. Many of you that are going to be the security event planners will play a key role in that, because you're going to be able to bring the people to the table from your side of it that are going to know many of the individuals that are in the security protection business for many of the Hollywood industry people. Certainly law enforcement will be able to reach out and to work very closely with their counterparts, and certainly fire, because of the nature of the public safety issues and having to be able to deal with evacuation, emergency medical treatment, and so forth, are going to play a key role in that planning piece as well. But that's all going to go to the threat, because the threat is going to tell us exactly what direction we're going to have to maneuver in to be able to provide a complete security package. We get into this cost versus risk, and I saw it in Catherine's slide, and we were talking about it and chatting about it just before we came in here. Cost doesn't necessarily mean the bottom line. Everybody's working on a budget, and these are pretty austere times. I get it, you get it, everybody gets it. But the issue is, if you're dealing with a special event, in this hypothetical I just talked about, and it's a fundraiser, it doesn't do you any good at all to worry about a fundraiser and somebody comes up and defaces the Prime Minister's car, or tries to commit some type of an attack, or walks in and tries to engage in some sort of an active shooter type of scenario while this event's going on. Because the cost of it, I bet you any money that any of the promoters would be willing to have spent a lot of money to be able to provide the amount of security to be able to reduce the amount of risk that came about with that particular event. And certainly the solution to that is a very close integration of you and public safety. And there's a term that we use in law enforcement. It's not necessarily a very pretty term, but it is what it is. Integrate or die. And the very simple term means be able to be collaborative and work very closely with all of our partners, not just local law enforcement, not just Secret Service, not just the security planners, but the people in the community. The people in the community oftentimes are individuals that know where things belong. Let me give you a hypothetical as a security event planner with this hypothetical I just talked about. I used two hypotheticals in the same sentence. That's pretty good. Wait till I get to my term emotionality. It's not even a word, but I like it. Let's say that you're the event planner